ICI now is in ICU, hindi na independent, it is controlled now of Malacanang. Ito ang mga pahayag na binitiwan ni Representative Edgar Erice. Boom! Sa pool si BBM dito. Pero bago ang lahat, ayun na muna. Pa-like naman ang video at kung bago ka pa lang dito, huwag mahiyang pindutin ang subscribe button at pati na rin ang notification bell para lagi kang updated sa mga may init at nagbabagang balita sa politika dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya tara, simulan na natin. Pinag-uusapan ngayon sa political sphere ang isyong ICI naghihingalo na matapon magbitiw si Babe Singson. Ayon mismo kay Congressman Edgar Erice. Mga kababayan, grabe to. Sabi nga ni Congar Erice, hindi na ICI, ICU na. Boom! Parang sinaksak sa dibdib ang komisyon dahil hindi lang basta ordinaryong miyembro ang umalis. Si Babe Singson mismo, isa sa may pinakamalalim na kaalaman pagdating sa infrastructure projects ng bansa at sa mga operasyon ng DPWH. Ayon kay Erice, malaking kawalan si Singson sa Independent Commission for Infrastructure. Bakit? Kasi nga mga paps, itong si Singson, alam niya ang pasikot-sikot. Alam niya kung paano gumagalaw ang sistema, kung paano umiikot ang pera, kung paano nagkakaroon ng anomalya, lalo na sa flood control projects na ngayon ay iniimbestiga. Kaya naman daw, sa pag-alis ni Singson, parang nawalan ng backbone ang ICI. Imagine mo yon, kung sino pa yung pinaka-expert, kung sino pa yung may pinakaalam sa under the hood, siya pang nawala. Paano na daw gagalaw ang komisyon? Paano mag-iimbestiga ang mga abogado at ibang miyembro kung yung taong may hawak ng blueprint, wala na? At hindi lang si Singson ang umalis ha, pati si Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong mismo ay nag-resign sa ICI. Kaya sabi ni Erice, nasa ICU stage na ang komisyon dahil sa sunod-sunod na pagbibitiw ng mga key members na inaasahang magdadala ng kredibilidad dito. Kung iisipin natin mga kababayan, parang pelikula lang Yung komisyong inaasahang maglilinis ng anomalya, sila pang nawalan ng taong makakapaglinis. Kumbaga sa basketball, nawala ang star player at defensive anchor. Paano mo ipapanalo ang laro kung wala ang pinakamatalino sa court? Kaya maraming nagtataka, may pressure ba? May dahilan ba ang mga biglaan at sabay-sabay na resignations? May hindi ba tayong nakikita? Yan ang mga tanong na umiikot ngayon online at yan ang dapat nating bantayan. Para sa ngayon, ang malinaw lang, ayon kay Congressman Erice, naghihingalo na ang ICI, kumbaga ICU level na. 2 key members at members ng Secretariat ang umalis.
Caloocan Representative Edgar Erice likens the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to a critical patient being treated in an intensive care unit or ICU. Now, he made that remark after the resignation of former Public Works Chief Rogelio Singson. Erice says the ICI now lacks credibility and authority. He adds it seems unlikely that the bill granting more powers and independence to the fact-finding body will be passed by Congress.
ICI is now in the ICU. Wala na magagawa yan. Wala nang credibility. Yung ICI ngayon is not really independent. It's under the control of Malacanang. They're using DOJ lawyers. They are using NBI people. So it's under the direct control of the executive department. While you will be able to pass the ICI law, independent commission, it will have its own budget, it will have its own people, lawyers, and investigators. It's up to the president kung ibibito niya yan, parang talagang ayaw niyang lumabas ng katotohanan.
Meanwhile, Erice believes only the so-called small fish in the flood control mess will face jail time before Christmas.
It will be easy to jail several DPWH official, contractors, siguro yung the usual suspects sa Senate, sa House, yung mga dating legislators na involved, yun madali. Pero when it comes to the big fishes, I don't think so. Yung sa executive department, I don't think na pwedeng pwedeng mangyari yung mga insertions na to at mga diversions na ito without the cooperation of the executive department. Maraming mga tanong na si Pangulong Marcos lang ang pwedeng makasagot, pero hindi niya sinasagot. Ang ina-explain niya yung corruption sa ibaba, pero ang pinakamalaking tanong na bakit 3 years, 2023, 300 billion yung tinanggal ng Kongreso sa NEP. Noong 2024, 500 billion mahigit. At noong 2025, 473 billion. Yung mga tinanggal sa mga regular projects na i-propose ng Executive Department.
A citizens advocacy group calling on President Marcos to go after his own cousin, former House Speaker Martin Romualdez, if he is truly serious about getting justice over the massive corruption scandal. The August 21 movement says, despite President Marcos's promise that even powerful figures like Romualdez would face charges, so far only minor officials and contractors have been pursued, while the so-called big fish remain untouched. The group also insists the Independent Commission for Infrastructure has failed to deliver real accountability, contributing to an economic slowdown, declining investor confidence, job losses, and stagnant wages. The group warns failing to bring the former speaker to justice at a minimum will fuel growing public frustration. Arrest warrant against controversial government contractor Sara Diskaya likely out this week. That's according to President Marcos, who also announced the freezing of assets of 2 House lawmakers linked to the flood control mess. Here's the President's statement.
Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. Mga kababayan ko, naglabas na ang Court of Appeals ng freeze order laban sa mga bank account, ari-arian at sasakyang panghimpapawid na may kaugnayan sa mga anomalyang flood control project na iniimbestigahan ngayon ng gobyerno. Sakop ng freeze order ang mga account at ari-arian ng Silver Wolves Construction Corporation at Skyyard Aviation Corporation, pati na rin ang mga personal account at asset ng mga individual na nasangkot sa investigasyon. Kabilang ay si Congressman Erice at Edby Kiap. May mahigit 16 billion na ang pumasok sa mga transaksyon ng Silver Wolves mula 2022 hanggang 2025. Nakaramihan ay may kaugnayan sa mga flood control project ng DPWH. Kabuuang 280 bank account ang na-freeze, 22 insurance policy, 3 securities account, at 8 sasakyang panghimpapawid, kabilang ang mga eroplano at helicopter na konektado sa Skyyard Aviation. Kailangan natin ang mga freeze order na ito para hindi maibenta ang mga ari-arian at para maibalik natin sa ating mga kababayan ang bawat pisong pinaghihinalaang ninakaw. Meron ding 8 taga-DPWH sa Davao Occidental na nagpadala na ng sulat na sila ay magsusurrender sa NBI dahil sa hinaharap nilang mga kaso. Inaasahan na rin nating lalabas ang warrant of arrest na ni Sara Diskaya itong linggong ito at hindi na rin magtatagal ang pag-aresto sa kanya. Magpapatuloy ang investigasyon, magpapatuloy ang pagpapanagot at titiyakin ng pamahalaan na ang pera ng bayan ay maibabalik sa taong bayan. Maraming salamat po.
A think tank blames the country's growing debt pile to what it called the Marcos administration's huge pork barrel addiction. Ibon Foundation says the national government's debt has ballooned to exceed its year-end target, but a big chunk of the country's funds are going to pork barrel and corruption instead of social services. It explains the gross borrowings of the Marcos administration are at a record 208 billion pesos per month. That's way higher than the combined borrowing rates of the Duterte administration at 130 billion pesos per month and the Aquino administration, which stood at 61.5 billion. Now, if left unchecked, Ibon Foundation says corruption will keep the debt growing needlessly. The Philippine Medical Association is not content with the Supreme Court order for government to return 60 billion pesos of funds to the National Health Insurer. It says officials who ordered the transfer of PhilHealth funds to the National Treasury should face criminal cases. More from Rafael Bosano.
The Philippine Medical Association believes that government officials who ordered state health insurer PhilHealth to return its excess reserve funds to the national treasury should be held accountable. PMA is among the petitioners who sought for the return of the 60 billion pesos excess PhilHealth funds that had earlier been transferred to the nation's coffers. In its ruling last week, the Supreme Court said the transfer of the funds to the national treasury was unconstitutional and that there was grave abuse of discretion in its implementation. But the High Court also clarified that despite the finding, determining the criminal liability of officials involved is not part of its decision. The PMA said it will not take the lead in filing cases against accountable officials, but will support anyone who initiates such actions.
May consensus na gagawin itong grupo. At the same Supreme Court petitioners we're going to meet if we are to seek criminal liabilities of those. Alam naman natin kung sino yung mga yan. So we would be supportive of that move, pero hindi ko siguro ang mga doctors ang mauna to file those cases.
For PhilHealth, the ruling is a major boost as the funds can be used to further expand benefits for its members.
Most of our priorities now would be expanding our primary care service at yan nga yung tinatawag natin ngayon ng bagong programa na YAKAP. Tapos meron din itong kasama na libreng mga diagnostics. Plus, we are soon to come out with our program or benefit for screening for cancer, like breast cancer.
Aside from breast ultrasound and mammography, screening for liver, lung, and colorectal cancer will also be included. Pargas also explained that the fund return will not have any significant effect on the zero balance billing program of the Department of Health. If a patient is confined in basic accommodation in a DOH hospital, discounts for persons with disabilities or senior citizens are applied first. After that, the PhilHealth benefit package is deducted. Whatever amount remains will then be covered by the DOH's zero balance billing.
So, kung mataas na yung ating benefit or yung ating package rate, konting-konti na lang or maliit na lang yung papasok sa Department of Health for a zero balance billing to be charged to other funding mechanism.
This year, PhilHealth received zero subsidy from government. But for 2026, Pargas said the amount partially approved by the Congress stands at 53 billion. With 60 billion set to be returned, PhilHealth will have a total of 113 billion for 2026. The PMA, however, says that amount is not enough to cover all of PhilHealth's deliverables.
Ang budget na hinihingi ng PhilHealth is somewhere from 127 to 133 billion for the year to be able to give those benefits. They're going to give only 113 billion, which dapat hindi.
Okay.
Dapat yan, yung 60 billion should be appropriation talaga.
For former Health Secretary and now Congresswoman Janet Garin, the 60 billion that must be returned to PhilHealth should not be sourced from assets recovered from those involved in flood control projects, as suggested by some people. She said the court clearly stated that the amount must be included in the 2026 General Appropriations Act, and getting it from any other source would be considered defiance of the High Court's directive. Rafael Bosano, ABS-CBN News.
Is the Office of the Ombudsman working on its full digitalization as it gets to the bottom of the flood control scandal? Agatha Gregorio on the line now with details. Agatha, over to you.
The Ombudsman has discussed Remulla bared a national strategy for digitalization and an Ombudsman Marshal to be a modern enforcement arm and other plans connected to the flood control scandal, which the Office of the Ombudsman plans to complete by February 2026. During the 2025 Sikhay Laban sa Korupsyon in Pasig, Remulla stressed the need for reform and not just accountability when it comes to addressing corruption. The building of a fully digital ombudsman with tamper-proof records and AI-supported verification is part of this strategy, as mentioned by Remulla. Remulla also stressed the importance of citizen participation in fighting corruption, commending the public's initiative to investigate alongside the Office of the Ombudsman amid the flood control scandal. Remulla also called crowdsourcing a tool for gathering evidence. Called a long overdue reform by Remulla, the agency is creating the Ombudsman Marshal to serve as its modern enforcement arm. Remulla also talked about establishing a culture of daily discipline to avoid delays as corruption grows, quote, in the silence of inaction. Carmina?
Thanks a lot, Agatha Gregorio there joining us on the line. Back here in the newsroom, the ICC prosecutor fighting to maintain jurisdiction over the drug war case of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte. It opposed Duterte's appeal to dismiss the crimes against humanity charge against him in an official filing Monday. The ICC prosecutor maintains the court can probe the drug-related killings since the legal proceedings at the ICC were already underway before Duterte withdrew Manila from the Rome Statute. The ICC pretrial chamber already denied a similar motion by Duterte in October. The former leader lost last month his bid for interim release, clearing a key hurdle for a trial to begin. Duterte is facing charges of crimes against humanity over his bloody war on drugs. The 3-day nationwide transport strike kicked off today, affecting commuters in parts of Metro Manila. Izzy Lee has the latest on the situation in the city of Manila. Izzy.
Carmina, some commuters in Manila struggled to find rides on Tuesday morning after many GP stopped operating due to a nationwide transport strike launched by the transport group Manibela. As only Manibela GP served the Paco route, commuters had to take tricycles or other forms of transport. Some commuters were also forced to walk along the side of Nagtahan Bridge. According to Manibela, around 20,000 GP drivers in NCR did not operate as part of the strike. The group said the protest aims to draw attention of the Department of Transportation, the Land Transportation Office, and the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board over what it described as systematic abuse. Among the group's complaints are the delayed processing of GP registrations, which continued with fines imposed and impounding of the vehicles that resulted in loss of livelihood, and alleged payola practices involving some LTO traffic enforcers. Back to you, Carmina.
Thanks a lot, Izzy Lee there joining us on the line. Well, it's that time of the year again when the holiday rush leads to Carmageddon in parts of the metro. Izzy Lee returns to tell us authorities are implementing measures that will hopefully ease traffic congestion.
Ronaldo went to a Quezon City mall on Monday to shop for gifts for her family's Christmas celebration. She deliberately chose to go early and on a weekday to make her experience more comfortable and convenient.
Para maiwasan ang traffic, mahirap sumakay, maraming mamimili at lalong-lalo na napakahirap ang traffic. Aabutin ka ng 3 hanggang 4 na oras.
Given the holiday season, traffic is already beginning to build up around major shopping centers, especially during evening hours.
Lalo na papasok sa mall, hirap nang pumasok. Minsan, abutin ka ng 2 oras bago ka makapasok.
On November 17, the MMDA started implementing adjusted mall hours from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Mall operators are also required to submit their traffic management plans to the agency when conducting mall-wide sales on weekends. As early as November 17, the MMDA recorded 429,000 vehicles on EDSA, higher than the daily average traffic volume of 408,000.
Habang papalapit ko yung Kapaskuhan, we're expecting na baka mas dumami pa po yung volume ng vehicles sa mga pangunahing lansangan sa Metro Manila. Babantayin rin namin pati yung mga malalaking provincial bus terminals.
The Metro Manila Council has also alerted LGUs to deploy additional local traffic enforcers and to implement no parking zones on alternative routes.
Dapat mag-implement din ng extended hours when it comes to our local traffic enforcers sa ating mga LGUs. Yung enforcement dapat ng no parking zones, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga major thoroughfares, mga main roads natin at yung mga mabuhay lanes natin sa LGUs, dapat well implemented yan.
The MMDA is also coordinating with local governments to prevent a repeat of the December 6 gridlock along Marcos Highway.
Nagkasabay-sabay ho yung mga sasakyan, and dahil ho dyan nagpatawag ho ang aming ahensya ng meeting bukas. We're coordinated with the different LGUs. In-invite po namin ang Antipolo, Cainta, Marikina, pati na rin po yung mga heads namin sa area na yon, especially sa may Marcos Highway, para pag-usapan yung mga traffic management plans dyan sa area.
The MMDA also plans to implement a no absent, no day off policy for its traffic personnel in the coming weeks to assist with the expected heavy traffic on the roads. Easily, ABS-CBN News.
Some relief for Filipino families this holiday season. Power distributor Meralco lowering rates this December. It announced a decrease of up to 178 pesos for households consuming 200 up to 500 kilowatt hours per month. Meralco, which services consumers in Metro Manila and the neighboring provinces, owed the lower rates to a drop in transmission and generation charges. Now, for a check on the local financial market, the Philippine Stock Exchange back online after a public holiday. Its main index down by 0.2% at noontime Tuesday, with the broader all shares index also in the red. Total value, meanwhile, is up at 6.1 billion pesos. The PSE's closing numbers and the analysis later on Market Edge at 3. A powerful magnitude 7.5 quake strikes northeast Japan late Monday. At least 30 people were injured. The quake triggered tsunami warnings, prompting the evacuation of about 90,000 residents. The warnings were lifted early Tuesday. Some buildings and infrastructure were damaged. Authorities now calling on residents from Hokkaido to Chiba Prefecture to be on alert for the possibility of a powerful earthquake hitting again within a week. No Filipinos are affected in the fresh border clashes that erupted between Thailand and Cambodia. Philippine Ambassador to Cambodia, Ferdinand Camille Mayo, says 10,000 Filipinos are working in Cambodia. 200 of them are in the border area. The embassy assures families of OFWs there contingency plans are in place.
Yan ay ilulunsad namin kung sakasakaling kinakailangan. So sa ngayon po, hindi pa namin nakahanda lang kami, no? And if I may share lang, naglabas kami ulit ng advisory kahapon na pinapaalala namin sa ating mga kababayan na dapat sinusubaybayan nila ang mga pangyayari, ang mga pahayag ng pamahalaan. Importante, iwasan po natin yung mga lugar kung saan naroon ang putukan, lalo na yung mga malapit sa pasilidad ng militar.
The ceasefire between the rival neighbors crumbled Monday after Thailand attacked the disputed border with Cambodia in retaliation for the killing of a Thai soldier. In entertainment, more original titles are coming to Netflix in 2026. Leading the lineup is a sequel of action thriller Buy Bust, starring Ann Curtis and Gerald Anderson. Gretchen Folito has that story.
And that we could show the world.
Director Eric Mati dropped a major reveal at Creative Asia 2025 in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, confirming that the much-awaited sequel to his hit film Buy Bust will premiere on Netflix in 2026. The project, titled Buy Bust: The Undesirables, is a 9-episode action series starring Ann Curtis and Gerald Anderson, marking a reunion between Mati and Curtis since the original film.
Buy Bust is now a dystopian story, where the Philippines has become a federalist government, and all the prisoners, because they want to clean up the whole country, is being sent to an island. We moved on from the drug war story, and we made it about rich and poor, the powerful and the powerless. We wanted to talk about, Philippines as a country, and whether is it possible to clean it up without going political. And we're trying to shy away from political aspects now because our country is kind of, very political at the moment.
Mati said the production was one of his most challenging yet, with each episode running almost an hour long, and a massive world-building undertaking that showcases Filipino craftsmanship and martial arts.
We were approached to do the series in a global scale.
Yeah.
Of course, we wanted to do a proud Filipino-made show.
We shot it 7 hours away from Manila. 2 hours of the 7 hours is rough road.
For fans who love binging series and movies, good news, because here at Creative Asia 2025 in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, Netflix has announced that they're releasing a lot of Philippine original titles this 2026. Netflix says its strategy for the coming year focuses on producing more local content created by Filipinos for Filipinos.
The content strategy for us across the world is local for local. right? So when we are designing our slate, thinking of our investments, we are only focused on local audience. Because for us, like, the recipe is, if it doesn't work in the local market, it's not a success.
Another Filipino director making waves on Netflix is Carlo Ledesma, whose zombie film Outside has found global success. Ledesma was part of the Behind the Undead Zombie panel at Creative Asia, together with other Southeast Asian zombie directors.
I think it's great. Like, streaming or Netflix has allowed me to discover different films from all over the world. So I'm guessing that, people from other side of the world are discovering our films. It's been so encouraging the past year because I think my film was the one that came out first. So it was nice throughout that process getting email from Mexico, from parts of Europe saying, hey, we really like the film.
Ledesma added, if given the green light, he would love to make a sequel to its Netflix zombie hit Outside. Another project to watch out for in 2026, the highly anticipated On the Job Maghari, a prequel to the award-winning On the Job franchise by Eric Mati, starring Coco Martin.
We're looking at start of production maybe first quarter next year, as soon as we finish this by Bust. And it's gonna be it's a different kind of movie. It's an action thriller, but in the same vein as On the Job, because it tackles the young Joel Torre in 1995.
From Yogyakarta, Indonesia, Gretchen Fulido, ABS-CBN News.
Former Elections Commissioner Rowena Guanzon taking legal action against a man who allegedly humiliated her at a Makati City mall. She's also considering a lawsuit against the uploader of the video of the incident. This story from Jeff Caparas.
Former COMELEC Commissioner Attorney Rowena Guanzon has filed a complaint against a man who allegedly belittled her while she was inside the mall in Barangay Poblacion, Makati City last Saturday. He is facing complaints of unjust vexation and grave oral defamation. In the viral video, Guanzon can be seen shouting at and pointing her finger at a man and a woman. According to Guanzon, the two are a married couple. The confrontation started when the couple allegedly accosted and belittled Guanzon after she coughed while in line. She clarified that she was not sick and coughed because of the spicy noodles she had eaten.
Sa ng spicy food ko, napaubo ako. Alam niyo, aware naman ako pag umuubo ako. Pag ubo ko naman, nag-turn agad ako sa right. Yung hindi ko sila inubuhan, kumbaga. Biglang nag-aalit, nilatan ako ng matay, Inglesan niya ako. Sabi niya, you are sick, you should not be in the mall. You have to leave. Ginanon ako. Sabi siya, excuse me? Are you from Rockwell? Tapos sabi niya, yes. Sabi ko, hindi ganito ang taga-Rockwell. Sabi ko, foreigner ito kasi wala naman Pilipinong gaganyan sa senior, di ba?
She said she got even angrier when the man insisted that she leave the mall.
Simula na yung init ng ulo ko, ha. Sabi ko sa kanya, you have no right. If you are sick, if your wife is sick, you get out of the mall. You should not be here. Hindi yung ako yung, not that I should be the one to leave. Sabi niya, no. You have to leave.
The heated exchange went on for several minutes until mall security arrived and brought them to the security office. Guanzon claimed the issue would not have escalated if the man had only apologized.
Yun naman hiningi ko video na apology. Pero kung ayaw niya talaga, wala naman talaga ako magagawa. Kasi alam niya naman ako. Alangan, paapi-api ako. Hindi naman siya maliit na tao Hindi naman ako nang-aapi ng maliit na tao. Pa-English pa nga siya Diba?
In addition to the man, Guanzon is also looking into identifying and possibly filing charges against the person who recorded and uploaded the video.
Ako naman, pumayag naman ako video niya lang kasi alam ko na nagkakalat na yung video na unauthorized. By the way, that video violated my right to privacy. For now, gusto ko lang malamin yan that she committed a crime. And she should delete her post. Kung kayo naman po ay nagtatrabaho lamang, hindi naman po kayo maraming pera para sa abogado, mas maganda mag-avoid na kayo ng mga legal trouble. Take down nyo na yung inyong yung post niyo ng video nyo sa akin. Na unfair naman yon. Na nakuha nyo na yung video nung galit na ako, doon na yun sa dulo.
Guanzon clarified that she only mentioned luxury brands because the couple looked down on her.
Sinabi ko lang yun kasi nababuisit na talaga ako na matapobre ka. Hindi ka nga naka-Rolex at Gucci na matapobre ka. Kasi sabi ba naman sa akin and looked at me up and down, why can't you afford to buy a mask?
ABS-CBN News tried to get the side of the couple involved in the altercation, but the lawyer said they have no official statement yet regarding the matter. Meanwhile, another lawyer, Attorney Rene Bueno, points out that as a member of the Philippine Bar, Attorney Guanzon is bound by the Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability. He adds, Guanzon's act of shouting curses, using abusive language, and engaging in what he calls scandalous public confrontation have a strong potential for disbarment or a suspension complaint. Jeff Caparas, ABS-CBN News.